Hello, I want to talk to you today about teen suicide prevention. I am here on the San Juan Mission Wall in San Antonio, Texas, and it's a peaceful, serene setting, so it just seems really appropriate and aligned to speak with you today about this really critical topic. The Teen Suicide Prevention Society has put together a 4-question conversation. They've mapped it out for us as parents, and it's research-based about how to enter the conversation about suicide with your teen, because as we all know and we've heard in the news, the CDC has talked about the teen mental health crisis, and I've talked about it in our Facebook group and in my coaching practice for several years now. And there is definitely a valid, real role that we can play as parents. In fact, we can prevent these atrocities, these suicides that are, quite frankly, rampant, even as early as age 8 and 9. And I don't want to just blame social media. It's much more complicated than that. And as a sociologist, I want to share with you some of the things that we can do to intervene, because kids are not getting their needs met. We're not providing them with the social support that we did in previous times. And lives are much more complicated. So I just want to bring you hope today that there is a way to have these conversations that is research-based, that you can truly make a difference in your teen's life. So let's go through these 4 open-ended questions. As you well know, if you follow me, I talk about open-ended questions a lot because they offer respect of your teen's autonomy and their personhood, quite frankly, and helps them feel more trusting to open up. Approaching from lecture, approaching from authority does not work, particularly for this generation. So enter the conversation with the first question. 1, have you heard about this teen suicide crisis? And you can even quote the CDC label of emergency for the teen suicide crisis and teen mental health crisis, that it's even more than the ultimate end of suicide, but there's teen depression and anxiety. So first of all, have you heard? They answer yes or no, they elaborate or not. And then the second question is, have any of your friends talked about harming themselves? It's a nice, easy, soft intro into the topic. Have any of your friends talked about it? It introduces the topic without finger pointing, and hopefully begins to create the safe space. Then 3, have you ever considered leaving this world in that way? Or have you ever considered harming yourself? And that's where you'll get to gauge where they are. Of course not, Mom, no way. Or they may stay silent, and that would be cause for concern. They may divulge, actually, I have thought about it, but I certainly didn't want to act on it. They can have a myriad of answers, and whatever they say, you actively listen to that. Just hear them. Don't intervene in this first conversation. Don't say, I'm rushing you to the psychiatrist's office or I'm rushing you to a therapist, unless you believe they're going to turn around and act upon it. That's different. Then you hit the emergency room or call the family pediatrician and ask for what to do. Then the 4th conversation is, what makes you want to stay? That's the ray of hope, right? What makes you want to say, yes, Dad and I would be terribly sad. Did you think about family? Did you think about activities that you want to do? What turned your thought away from that? And that introduces the idea of hope and the implied concept that feelings are temporary. They don't have to be forever. And that's one really important piece of information that children, including teens, don't know, is that feelings don't last forever. But you don't lecture that. You imply it through this series of open-ended questions, And then I want to talk to you, and I've shared with this before in my Facebook group, about what we as sociologists know about suicide prevention. And it is that quality relationships where people feel tied to a group is one of the greatest vaccinations against suicide. So the inoculation of your good connected relationship with your teen, how they feel about disclosing who they are, how connected they are to you. They don't even have to share your value systems, but how connected they feel is one of the great ways that we know helps prevent all kinds of suicides. So the more social ties that a teen has, that's why hobbies and interests and team sports and civic groups at school, all of those social ties that have quality, not just in it for name's sake, but are helpful to helping teens feel connected to the world around them. Oftentimes, it's when teens disconnect for whatever reason, social pressure, alcohol and drug experimentation, something going on in the home like a divorce, like family alcoholism, other crises in the family, those things tend to help our teens feel isolated and disconnected. So when we don't have the same net of societal supports that we had in previous generations, that's when we're going to see a rise in suicides. And that's certainly what's happening right now with our teens. I believe, as a sociologist, that social media amplifies that sense of alienation and isolation. And it's not necessarily a causal factor, it is a contributory factor. And research may bear me out on that one. But we do know from 120 years of research that it is the number of quality social ties that teens have that inoculates them against suicide. And we want to continue to support that. And one of the greatest ways to do that is to provide a safe space of communication, connection, obviously love, that teens can feel that their families are their first tribe, their first initial and unchangeable, meaning it will always be there, family will always be there as teens navigate the complicated social structures of the world, whether that's high school, peer pressure, college, going on to post-secondary decisions, all of that. They need to know that family will be there. And the way that we show up emotionally present, physically present, spiritually present for them is their best assistance. It's not their only assistance. We must also allow for space of mentors and other societal supports that can help provide a net of support to catch them when feelings come and go. So I hope this has been helpful. Please check out the Teen Suicide Prevention Society and watch for more as we continue to talk about ways that we can support our teens through this teen mental health crisis. I will be sharing more on this subject soon.